What's going on, folks? It's your guy, Tommy and TG here for Tommy Talk. Back at it with you once again. Happy to be back with you. A lot to get to. Hope you enjoyed the first episode. I liked it. I thought it was a good start. I just want to start off with this about that episode. What probably was the show kind of revolved around was the whole Caitlin Clark controversy. I want to make a couple things clear. Number one, I'm not saying that she intentionally tried to push over or hit this girl or anything like that, like she saw her and ran into her or whatever. What I'm saying is that she could have avoided the collision. She was looking away, and then she looks forward, and then she hits her. All right, I'm not saying she intentionally did it. I'm just saying that she could have avoided it. That's number one. And number two, I'm saying in the moment, she had an instant reaction, and it was almost instinctual, everything that happened from there. So I want to put that out there. I don't want to say any bad things really about Caitlin Clark too much, because I like Caitlin Clark. I like her. I like her competitive spirit. I like her competitive fire. I think that she is good for college basketball, good for women's basketball. I just think the flop was a little bit out there, and I don't like seeing court storming get a bad rep from certain people that want to see it gone. All right? Want to put that out there. Let's start off with what is probably the biggest news of the day. Jim Harbaugh has been hired as the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. And, you know, we talk about Hollywood endings in sports. Disney movie endings, Hollywood endings, fantasy endings. Fantasy stories, these dream scenarios, that's what makes sports great. It's what we all hope for as fans, for this storybook, beautiful, beautiful thing to happen. Beautiful thing. I've had it happen a couple times during my lifetime as a sports fan. And when it happens, man, oh man, is it beautiful. And I understand a lot of people don't like Michigan. And a lot of people don't like Harbaugh and all those things. However, you have to admit that what happened with Jim Harbaugh and Michigan had to be the perfect Hollywood fantasy story and ending. It's the truth. It's the honest truth. He is the Michigan man personified. He goes off to the NFL. He wins there. He doesn't go all the way, but he wins there. He has, a falling out with the 49ers, and then a bunch of NFL teams want his services. And he looks one way, he looks another way, and people at his home school, his alma mater, Michigan, they say, Jim, come home. And you know what he says? I'm going to come home and I'm going to rescue a program that is floundering. And he comes there, he upgrades things pretty quickly, but he sputters. There are moments of doubt. There is much trials and tribulations around Ann Arbor, and things are looking bad and terrible. But eventually, they break through. And they finally beat Ohio State in 2021, and they do it 3 straight times. And they finally win the Big Ten in 2021, and they do it 3 straight times. And throughout everything being thrown at them by the NCAA and by this and by that, and everything happening this year, they persevere and they win the national championship. Their first national championship since the Clinton administration, 1997, and their first undisputed national championship since the Truman administration in 1948. Hollywood ending. Beautiful stuff. I don't care. I understand Ohio State fans are going to hate hearing that. A lot of college football fans are going to hate hearing that. My friend Henry Collins is going to hate hearing that, but it is the truth. Now, in terms of him actually going to the Chargers, he now has kind of a double challenge on his hands. Number one, he has to fulfill the potential that we have seen from Justin Herbert. I have been a person who has criticized Justin Herbert and his inability to kind of get it going in the big games, to make it happen. We obviously saw what happened against the Jaguars last season. in his first ever playoff game when everything fell apart. And at various times, he has not lived up to his own hype. At the same time, we know he's insanely talented. We know what he's capable of on a football field. Now you have a guy like Harbaugh coming in, and there's no more excuses. There's no more excuses. I mean, they're going to keep building the roster. So maybe not this year, might not be the year where it all turns around, but it has to start turning around this year. It has to start turning around this year. Obviously, the health of the team is also going to play a big part in this. However, this is where the turnaround has to start for Justin Herbert. And if you're Harbaugh, it's a great opportunity with a really talented quarterback, but you got to break through in a way that you weren't able to in San Francisco. I know he went to a Super Bowl, but that was one time. He now has to set his sights on what his own co-tenants in his new stadium has already done, winning a Super Bowl. That has to be the next priority. And I think he can do it with the Chargers and with the quarterback of Herbert's talent. But that's going to be challenge number one. Challenge number two, you're going to have to win in a division where you're going to be playing against two different Super Bowl winning coaches, that being Sean Payton and Andy Reid. And one of those Super Bowl winning coaches has the greatest quarterback in the National Football League and potentially one day the greatest quarterback of all time, that being Patrick Mahomes. So you're going to have to overcome both those things. You know what? If Harbaugh could do it at Michigan, he could make it happen. Maybe it will take some time and some effort, but I got to believe that he may just get it done in LA. Just saying. Now, from the Michigan perspective, they're probably going to promote Sharon Moore, offensive coordinator and O-line coach, to be the head coach, which is smart. You know, he took over when Harbaugh was suspended this year because of the cheating allegations with the hand signals, all the signs and stuff being stolen, that controversy. He took over and he did a really good job. And I know he has the support of the players, he has support of the program. If you're Ryan Day, however, this has to be where you start your turnaround, where you are able to flip the script in the rivalry back your way. Because even though there's going to be consistency, even though Sharon Moore is a good head coach, and even though Sharon Moore beat Ryan Day, it's now Sharon Moore's program. And he is going to have to face you in the recruiting battlefield and on the field itself. And it's no longer Harbaugh's team that Sharon Moore is coaching. It's going to have to be Sharon Moore's team. And if you're Ryan Day, this is where you have to make things come back to where you need them to be, or you're going to find yourself out of a job relatively soon. But, it's an opportunity. I'll say that. It's an opportunity for Ryan Day. It's an opportunity. Moving on, another coach hiring, this time in basketball. The Bucks are hiring Doc Rivers to be their head coach. They fired Adrian Griffin despite being 30-13 on the season because of advanced statistics showing how bad they have slipped defensively. And this comes after, in the offseason, you fired Mike Budenholzer, who had led you to a NBA championship in 2021. I got a few different thought processes when it comes to this. Number one, there was a noted Swiss patent clerk, and his name was Albert Einstein, who once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And folks, it seems like at this point, hiring Doc Rivers, it seems like an exercise in insanity. Especially in this situation where you fire Mike Budenholzer because you don't think he's going to bring you back to the mountaintop. He hasn't been able to do it since he did it that first time. And you bring in a guy who has seemed to show consistently after his first time bringing a team to the mountaintop that he has not been able to take uber talented teams and bring them back to that mountaintop. He couldn't do it in LA. He couldn't do it in Philly. And now you're expecting him to do it in Milwaukee and get the most out of this new pairing of Giannis and Dame. it just seems foolhardy. I wonder if the Bucks would look back now and say, "Dang, maybe we shouldn't have fired Budenholzer. Maybe we shouldn't have," because it just seems like we are just retreading things around and putting ourselves in an even worse position than we were in with Budenholzer. You know. And by the way, firing at 30-13, I think, is wild. Just because you look at those advanced statistics, I understand that you want more out of this new pairing you have. I understand what the advanced statistics say, but you're still 30-13. That's still a dang good record. You're still doing really well. And you're throwing this all on Griffin instead of letting him try to right the ship or trying to move new things into place or swapping a few things out. Instead, you just throw out the baby with the bathwater and you bring in Doc Rivers just like that. Just like that. It just seems foolhardy. It just does not seem like the way to go. I would not be super confident if I were a Bucks fan. I'm not a Bucks fan, but if I were a Bucks fan, I would not feel super confident in this hiring at all. I can see very narrow space where this works at all. You know, in life, sometimes you try to tell yourself that something will work. After time and time again, you've realized it ain't working. It just ain't working. Hey, I'm going to try keto again. I'm going to try keto. I've tried it 18 times and it's never stuck. And I've never followed through more than a week. But I'm going to try it again. Hey, this time it'll work. Oh, me and this girl have been dating all these different times. We've broken up and made up, broken up and made up. Oh, but we're going to, this time it'll work. This time we won't break up and break each other's hearts. This time it's going to work. We tell ourselves these lies. Oh, this time, now that he has Giannis and he has Dame, this time Doc Rivers will bring his team to the promised land. No, he won't. No, he won't. No, he won't. No, he won't. Now, as I say that, you also, this does remind me a tiny bit of Dusty Baker, who was brought in to be the manager in Houston after failing to bring the Nationals and the Cubs and the Reds and the Giants to a World Series title. He brings the Astros to a World Series title. And people will point to that and say, well, but different scenarios, different circumstances, different things when it comes to being a manager in baseball versus being a coach in basketball, number one. And number two, he was kind of just a panic hire because they had to fire their manager after the whole cheating scandal of their own, and they had to bring someone in. They brought in Baker, and then things worked out. This just seems like a panic move. I don't see it working. You can try to convince yourself of all this, and I suppose, when it comes to the laws of physics, anything is possible. Within the laws of physics, anything is possible. But if you're holding your breath for this to work, your face is going to be turning blue real soon. Real soon. Real soon. Next topic. So this weekend, obviously, the wild card, the conference championship games. The Niners and the Lions, and then 49ers versus the Ravens. And we're going to get to it on Friday, but we'll have a more in-depth analysis of what exactly is going to be going on to these games, TG's quick picks, all that stuff is going to be coming soon. If TG's quick picks don't come Friday, they're going to come Sunday morning at the latest. Point is, looking at this Chiefs-Ravens game, something came across my desk today, which I thought was very, very interesting. Warren Sharp, he reported the fact that the NFL has put referee Sean Smith on the Chiefs-Ravens game in Baltimore. Sean Smith, in the last 3 years, with other refs, home teams win 55.9% of the time. But with Smith, they only win 40.8% of the time. With other refs, home teams cover 50.1% of the time. With Smith, they only cover 37.0% of the time. That's a little suspicious. Like the biggest road favoring ref in the NFL gets put on this game. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, we're going to go into full conspiracy theory mode, which, obviously take it with a grain of salt. But I'm guessing on Sunday in Baltimore, a certain young lady named Taylor Swift will be in attendance. And we've talked about this before. I'm not anti-Taylor Swift. I'm not anti the Taylor Swift narrative, anything like that. So Swifties, get out of my face with anything kind of like that. However, the question has to be asked, how sweet would it be for the NFL, for their coffers, for their media departments, for the social media departments, to have Taylor Swift go into the Super Bowl? We've seen how much of a social and cultural phenomenon Taylor Swift dating Travis Kelce has been, especially in the early times. But imagine her going to the Super Bowl as the girlfriend of one of the star players in the game. Imagine the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl and Taylor Swift coming down to the field and hugging and kissing Travis Kelce while he lifts up the trophy. Man, oh man, with the confetti going everywhere. Hey, where are you going? Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, we're going to Disneyland. Man, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be better for the NFL if the Chiefs won on Sunday rather than the Ravens? And if they wanted the Chiefs to win on Sunday, why not put their biggest road favoring ref on that game? I'm just saying. I'm not saying, I'm just saying that makes sense. Now, that's all, hogwash conspiracy theories and all that stuff. So, take it with a grain of salt. That's ridiculous and crazy. I'm just pointing out that that's a little bit, that's a little suspicious. Just a little bit in the favor of the National Football League to have that guy reffing this game where this one outcome will be best for the league. I'm just saying. Finally, and I hesitate going into this, but I am here to speak on behalf of the fellas. Now, I'm not a nicotine guy. I'm not a Zyn guy. I don't partake in that stuff. Truly, honestly, truly. However, sometimes when injustice comes in this world, you have to speak out. You have to speak out and let your voice be heard. Chuck Schumer, Democratic senator from New York, came out the other day and said that he wants the FDA and the federal government to start investigating Zyns. If you know what Zyns are, they are nicotine pouches. They're non-tobacco. They're nicotine pouches. And there's no real evidence that minors are abusing Zyn products the same way that they were abusing Juuls. And yet, Chuck Schumer is coming out here and saying we need to inspect these pouches. And you know what? I gotta stand up. No more nanny state. No more ridiculous stuff like that. We need to stand up. I don't care what your politics are. I really do not. I don't care what your politics are, right, left, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. I don't care. I do not care. The politics that really does matter is standing with the broskies. And I know the broskies are standing with the right to use Zyns. The right to use Zyns. I'm not saying you should use Zyns. I'm not saying people should use Zyns. I'm saying they should have the right to use Zyns. And if the feds are going after Zyns, that right could be in jeopardy. So I'm just going to put that out there. Give the fellas Zyns or give us death, liberty and justice for all, etc., etc. Just want to put that out there. In any case, folks, thank you all for watching and or listening to TOMMY TALK Tommy Talk. Please subscribe, Apple Podcast and YouTube. YouTube is Tommy Gahan. Go to @Tommy SGAHAN on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc., etc. And hope you all have a great day. Looking forward to seeing you again on Friday. Love you guys. Good to be back with you again. And this has been Tommy Talk. See you guys.